Well, we certainly heard a lot about Javon. How do you think he was in his first extensive action?
Thought he played really well. Had some really good hard runs, good cuts, broke some tackles, and most importantly, held on the football. And he gave us our run game a shot in the arm when we really needed it. Gave us a chance, so he did a really good job.
How's Peyton feeling today?
He's okay today. You know, I don't think he's any worse for it. He was sore, didn't get to practice much last week. You know, showed some toughness, tried to give it a go. Just wasn't quite himself. But, you know, I don't think there's any long-term effects.
Do you try to split the carries more at this point, or do you stick with trying to just make it one guy and then do, you know? We're
comfortable with them all playing. We won't necessarily try to split it per se. You know, we're going to need them both, and we're going to need KJ and Rock as well. And sometimes it's the hot hand. You know, Javon was the hot hand there in the third quarter, and we stay with him, especially with Peyton, you know, probably not being full speed.
When the running game was so effective previously in the red zone, why did you get guys away from Javon in the red zone?
Well, you know, I think you saw that we ran the ball in the red zone until we were getting stopped. And, you know, they were doing a good job of overloading the boxes. You know, obviously there's probably a few calls we'd like to have back, and then probably a few plays we'd like to execute better. And that, at the end of the day, that's what did us in. You know, we didn't score touchdowns in the red zone, 3 opportunities in the second half, and then we were really poor on third down. And that's why we're here today, and we didn't win.
If Javon keeps playing well, does he have an opportunity to sort of take that over that role? Is that there for him?
Oh, yeah, he has an opportunity to continue to play, and we'll just see how it goes. I mean, we're in a tough stretch right now, a physical stretch. That's why we need all those guys. We got 4 tough physical games left, so we'll need them all.
Rhett, when you look at the success y'all had the previous 2 years and the struggles this year, and this is probably not something you can answer just in a couple of sentences, but what do you see that's different?
Well, I see a lot of different faces, playing a lot of different guys, playing a lot of young guys or guys that haven't been in roles where they're the guy as much. Now, at this point in the season, that doesn't matter. You know, we're 8 games in, that's over. But, you know, to start the season, you lose 8 guys off your offensive roster that either drafted or playing in the NFL as a free agent. That's a big change. And then secondly, I think we're just seeing it in our league and our division is so good that the margin between winning and losing is so small. I mean, 3 of our 4 losses are 1-score games. 2 of them that, hey, we as on offense, we don't score touchdowns in the red zone. Every other game we pretty much have, we've done better. We don't score touchdowns in the red zone, we lose. And that's one of the 3 things you got to be able to do is get touchdowns in the red zone. And then the other one was a back and forth 4 overtime deal where it's just who's going to make that one play. That's 3 games right there that you can point to just 2 or 3, a handful of plays that we just didn't make those plays. The last 2 years we probably have, more times than not. And so it's a really fine line. I've said it before, you know, we've got to be more efficient. You know, we can't make a lot of mistakes. We got to play really clean. And at times, you know, we made some explosive plays in the passing game, but we didn't finish the drives. And that's not clean enough to win.
You guys pulled Sean out for that very final play for the throw to the end zone.
Yeah.
Is that because of the knee, or is it because you don't think he's got the arm strength to throw?
Well, probably a little bit of both. It was mainly because of his knee. Could he extend the play long enough to get it off? You know, he had been playing through it, you know, and had not been able to, you know, everybody knows he had not been able to move like he normally would. And then, you know, Jeremy is the guy who can throw it well over 60 yards. So there's some of that to be said for both of those things.
Rhett, you were switching Jeremy and Sean in and out of the game, especially early on. Did you have a concern you were telegraphing what was coming? Because
No, because we were doing all we could do with our situation. You know, Sean didn't practice all week. And we didn't know until pregame warm-ups he was going to be able to play. And so it truly was a game-time decision. And not only that, how long could he last? And so from that standpoint, you know he's not full speed enough to run a lot. Don't ask him to do that. And we had some plays that were designed for the quarterback to run. Well, if he can't do it, who's your next quarterback? And so that's why Jeremy was inserted in a couple of those scenarios. And then there was the one time in the fourth quarter, Sean's knee brace broke. So he had to come out for 2 plays. That was the only reason for that.
What do you think it means to his teammates that Sean was able to kind of fight through that discomfort and play the game that he did? It seemed pretty tough from our level.
Yeah, he's tough as nails. That's probably, so far in 5 games, that's his #1 strength in my opinion. He's just tough. I mean, he's a competitor, he's gritty. If I would have tried to tell him in pregame warm-ups I didn't think he could go, I think we'd have had 12 men on the field the first play. You know, he was going to play, he was determined. And, you know, to not have practiced, he did a good job. There was a couple things that I think normally he'd make different decisions had he gotten the reps throughout the week. You got to remember, he's only played 4 games up to that point. So to not practice the whole week's a big deal. But man, he played tough. He gave us a chance. He was gritty.
How's he today, you know? Is he?
He's okay. He's no worse off than he was before, so, you know, we're optimistic that he'll be even better this week.
You expect to be able to practice this week?
I'm optimistic, yeah. You know, here we get pretty much today and tomorrow, kind of about 48 hours to recover. And again, I know Dr. Andrews looked at him after the game and didn't think he was any worse off than before the game. So.
Did y'all go on the field today?
No, we did not.
Rhett, talk about third downs. Guys have been doing well there, but it's a totally different.
Yep.
yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing really well. I think until yesterday we were leading our league. Particularly the last 3 games we've been pretty good. And we just weren't very good. We didn't have a lot of third and shorts and manageables. We had been in those situations probably a lot more the last few games. It seemed like we had a lot of 3rd and 7 pluses. And we just didn't get the job done. And then the third downs in the red zone. You know, I think there's 3 of those that contribute to those poor numbers. And so, you know, as bad as those third down numbers are, again, if we could have just scored a few touchdowns, we'd probably still won the game. And so again, you know, that's really what did us in, third downs in red zone.
Back to Sean. Obviously, I'm sure you knew he was a tough guy before he played, but has it been even more that way than you expected for a guy so young?
It has. I mean, I knew he was tough and he loved to compete. That was one of the things that drew us to him, was just his competitive nature and his ability to kind of almost always been situations where he was kind of counted out and he overcame those things. You know, I know he was frustrated last week not being able to practice throughout the week, but you know, to go out there and not only play, but play, you know, good enough for us to win, you know, in a lot of aspects, shows a lot about him.
Were you guys prepared going into Saturday to start and play Jeremy throughout the entire game?
Yeah, we were. I mean, we didn't know if Sean was going to be able to go until right before kickoff.
And just what you guys did in the first half, some of the trickeration, Jason Smith throwing the ball, Jeremy obviously coming in. Was that more or less because of Sean's knee, or was that maybe a plan you had going in no matter what?
We have some, you know, when we call them trick plays or whatever, we have those every game. Just, you know, some games we don't use them. Either we don't believe the situation calls for it, or we don't feel like we're getting those looks that week that would be good for it. Obviously, one worked, one didn't. And, you know, that's just, we usually carry 2 or 3 a game regardless. And then with regards to, you know, when Jeremy went in, like I said, there was a couple plays that were either quarterback design runs or quarterback read runs where it just made no sense. 1, because he wasn't full speed, and 2, why take a chance of taking a hit on that knee any more than you have to. And so that was the reason Jeremy was going in on those.
Rhett, have you guys thought about Jason Smith as a Wildcat quarterback, especially in the red zone?
Yeah, we have. We've exhausted everything, and you know, we feel like Carrion's doing a good job in the Wildcat. We feel like Jason's, you know, feeling comfortable where he's at and getting a good grasp. He's made some plays over the last few weeks, but you know, I wouldn't rule anything out.
Looking ahead to A&M, the last, well, really all 3 years you guys have met, you were here for the last 2, obviously. It's kind of defined the season in a lot of ways. Just what is it about the series where it hasn't been a common opponent for very long, but what is it about the series that just kind of defines the season?
You know, I don't know. Like you said, the last 2 years that I've been here, it was kind of a turning point for us in 13. It really put us over the top, and then obviously last year it was a game that we let slip away at the very end, and kind of contributed to us not finishing the way we wanted to. So it's kind of that same situation again for both of us. We got to go to their place. It's an extremely tough place to play, and it's a huge game for us. And you know, our guys are playing so hard. That's the best thing that I can tell you, is they're playing hard. They leave it all on the field. I think everybody sees that. Again, like I said, 3 of those 4 games, the margin is so small. And we talked last week about having to make plays, and we've just got to keep fighting, and we got to have a breakthrough. And you know, I think the guys will bring that same energy this week, and we'll go give it another shot.
What have you seen from your defense? Obviously, Chavis is over there now in a good spot. Just what does the defense look like with him now?
Well, I haven't watched a ton yet. We're just getting started on that. But being very familiar with him, being at LSU, you know what you're going to get with them. They can rush the passer. They probably have the best pass rusher in our league, maybe 2 of the best, 1 on each side. So that's always a factor. They play a lot of man coverage, but they have some good zone coverage concepts as well, good pressure packages. He's really good at what he does for a long time in this league for a reason. So I think they'll have a pretty good idea of what we do and us of them, and it's just going to come down to who can make the plays.
or when you see the film on Saturday, just when Jeremy hits the big 40-yarder, you got it down inside, I think, the 5 or something, and you used Wildcat inside the 5-yard line before. Did you think about going tempo and maybe catching Ole Miss, not knowing how to line up at that point?
Probably would have been a pretty good thought, yeah. Again, hindsight 2020, but the play that was called, if we just execute a little better, we feel like we would have scored.
Brandon, was there discussion on the 4th down play in the second quarter?
We talked about it a little bit on 3rd down before, but I think Coach had the mindset we're going to be aggressive, and your players, you appreciate that. And again, the play that was called was there. We just got to make the throw and the catch. Big play.
Gus mentioned aggressive yesterday, going for a 4th down. You mentioned again. You went for a 4th down again one more time at the very end on 4th and goal. You guys shot field goals. If aggression was the plan and it failed the first time, why not? I mean, if that was the plan initially and that was the mindset, then why didn't you do it?
Well, there's a difference between aggression and insanity. I mean, if you get down there and it's 13-10, you're not going to go for it on 4th and goal from the 3. You're going to tie the ball game up. If you get down there again and I think it was 20-13. No, it was 20-16. Excuse me. And we got the ball and it ended up being further out than you'd like. If it was a 4th and goal from the 1 or the 2, maybe you go for it. If it's from the 8, you think, well, with 12 minutes to go ahead and kick it. That way, a field goal wins the game at this point, and if they do score, which they did, you're only down 1 score. Whereas if you go for it there, you don't get it, they go score the touchdown, that's a 2-score game. So you got to try to balance those two, of being aggressive and not, obviously doing something that doesn't give you a decent chance to win down the stretch.
Given how the game went in Arkansas, how pleased are you with the way that Ricardo bounced back yesterday?
I'm very pleased. Bright spot. He made some good catches. He ran through the ball better, and he, like we talked about, he took that one hard, and he did a really good job of bouncing back and making some big explosive plays for us.
Is Stanton Trick going to be out a while?
Yeah, he's still day-to-day. Coach will probably have a better update for you on Tuesday, but we'll just have to see how he does these next few days.